Hello and welcome to another edition of Fantasy Gainz. I am Squish. That is Kyle. And Kyle, not only do we have NFL this week for week 10, but we have, what is it, the granddaddy of them all? Is that what they call it?
Tradition unlike any other.
Oh, a tradition unlike any other, if you're going to be Jim
it's
Nance.
not.
Yep.
Except it's not a tradition now. The tradition was broken because of COVID. Now it's in November instead of April. So I guess that doesn't even apply anymore.
All right, but nevertheless, we still have the Masters this weekend in SuperDraft. This is SuperDraft's biggest golf contest by far. $50K guaranteed, $10,000 of first place in the Albatross. You still have 13 hours, a little less than 13 hours to enter this, and this should be fun. Kyle, you wrote an article on our strategy site. It was just posted today. Who are you looking at this weekend, real quick?
Yeah, so real quick, I think the biggest guy that I'm looking at right now for this is Bubba Watson. So he has won the Masters twice before, and he's a reliable veteran golfer who has been here before. He's good in majors, and more promising for him is the last 2 years. He came in 12th last year at the Masters and then 5th in 2018, on top of the first place finish in 2014 and the first place finish in 2012. So I think that history is promising, and it's still going to be in Augusta. So regardless of, it moving from April to November, it's still in the same spot. And I just like the way he's playing recently. He's finished 4th and 7th in his last couple tournaments. Before that, he was 31st, 16th, and 18th. So he's on a nice run here. So,
yep.
And it's kind of risky going with the super high multiplier guys for golf.
Because you need your guys to make cuts.
Exactly. And so I think Bubba Watson toes the line of getting that multiplier juice while also being reliable enough to make the cuts. So, So yeah, he's one of my guys, and
you love rooting for lefties too. It's always fun to watch a lefty hit a golf ball. In my opinion, I like it a lot more than watching a righty.
Yeah, it's unorthodox stuff right there. So, and he's got a fun name to say, Bubba. It'll
be fun to root for.
He's a fun guy to root for on the golf course. So,
Hubba Bubba.
Yeah, Bubba. He's a great dude. So, yeah, I like him a lot. And so, but yeah, this is primarily for the NFL slate. So if you want to see my other picks,
all right. You made yourself laugh. Yeah. It's always good, Kyle. You're supposed to make yourself laugh. You're supposed to like your own jokes. That's the point. Yeah, everyone thinks humor is for other people. No, humor is for the person who is making people laugh. All right.
Yeah.
I'm selfish in one regard, and that's I don't care if you're funny as long as I'm making myself laugh. Then that's all I care.
It's my apologies. I shouldn't be making myself laugh. But
what do you mean?
Check out my strategy article, and you can read all about the other picks we got. But now,
and also make sure 50K GPP, absolutely. 10K to first.
Yeah,
let's make golf great again.
A lot of open spots right now in the contest, so get your entries in.
All right. Thank you, Kyle, for that golf blurb. I know. I mean, I've just gotten into watching golf, what are those things called? The big tournaments. What are those called?
The majors.
Oh, majors. Right. Like, who cares about golf? So why would I know that? But
right.
Yeah, exactly. I like watching majors. I mean, they're fun. I like seeing the cool outfits. But other than that, green jacket.
It's not as fun. Usually the crowds make the majors pretty fun to watch, but unfortunately, no crowds. So, but it's still the Masters, so it's going to be fun.
A little Masters trivia before we get to Fantasy Gainz. How many green jackets does Tiger have? How many?
Jesus.
You have 2 seconds to answer.
I'm going to say 4.
He's only got 1. You only get 1 jacket. So you only get 1. You don't get additional jackets. So win a bar bet with that. Next time. You only get 1 jacket. You don't get another one.
That's just...
All right. On to Fantasy Gainz. We had an okay week last week. Not a whole lot to talk about, but my stack, mainly because of Drew Lock, That's what carried that. He had over 53. Julio Jones in that stack, just over 15. He did score a touchdown in Noah Fant. Did okay early, but had an ankle injury that hampered him throughout the rest of that game. And I also mentioned Jerry Jeudy on our Instagram Live before. I said I like him instead of Noah Fant too, if that's what you want to do. He had 40.8, so little tip of the cap there. And the IG Live stack also, I said I like Josh Allen, Tyler Lockett, and Stephon Diggs. Allen with 42, Lockett just under 24, Diggs not so hot, just under 8. And then you
just had to replace Lockett with DK Metcalf, and that's a pretty good stack.
That would be a pretty good stack.
Mm-hmm.
But you hit the nail on the head with Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of criticism for saying, this is a chalk pick. A lot of haters out there with saying it's a chalk pick.
Haters are Kyle's motivators.
It's pretty easy to take Dalvin Cook. But guess what? You only have 2 running back slots, and there's a flex spot there. So it's 2 or 3 running backs. And you know what? You want to use a slot for, higher multiplier guy. There's also, and it's not like Dalvin Cook's the only guy who's 1X. So
I agree.
Henry.
Kyle's coming guns blazing all to the bitter end, and I love it. I love falling on your sword.
Yeah. So there you go.
I appreciate it. I love it.
There's only a couple running backs you can choose. And Dalvin Cook, I said Dalvin Cook's the guy you have to lock in. And guess what? He was fantastic against the Detroit Lions. He is probably the best running back in the league right now with his stats. So, and 1.15x, you have to lock him in. And chalk pick. Well, guess what? 2 spots. So
I stopped listening a while ago. Can we move on here?
Go ahead. Yeah, let's move on.
All right, you hit on your must start last week. Who is your must start this week? Because you've been hot with the must starts. I got to give it to you.
Yeah, I've been pretty decent with them. So Cooper KUPP is going to be my guy for this week. They are the biggest reason for that is they're facing the Seattle Seahawks passing defense, which is just we've talked about it pretty much every week.
Yep.
And it never fails. They always are giving up big yards and big fantasy points numbers to opposing receivers.
Taxes Seattle's defense.
Absolutely. And they've given up by far, it's not even close, the most fantasy points allowed to opposing receivers. They've allowed 9 100-yard receivers in 8 games. That's hard to do. And that's not even including tight ends or anything like that. That's only receivers in 8 games. So, and also not including guys who had 90 yards receiving, like Brandon Ayuk against the 49ers. Stephon Diggs had just under 100 last week. So, or actually, no, he had over 100. There's John Brown was the guy. John Brown had 99 yards last week. So, and I think Cooper KUPP's going to be in this position. I mean, he's had a really good year so far, 48 catches, 527 yards, only a couple touchdowns. But last year he had 10 touchdowns. So I think the math is going to even out and he's going to be able to, he's due for a touchdown at some point here.
I agree.
And I think against the Seattle defense, he's a pretty good candidate to get in the end zone. So, and they are a passing team this year.
Yep.
With Jared Goff has been pretty good. So I think especially at 1.45x, I think this is a really good opportunity to get great value out of the receiver position here. So yeah, I really like KUPP for this week.
I agree. I love that pick. Bert's here. He said he's glad he started Dalvin Cook. So Kyle, you can say you're welcome to Bert because there's no way he was going to play Dalvin Cook without you.
Yeah, I don't know if that. Oh, okay. Okay. I see where we're going.
I'm just yanking the chain. I like it. I love Cooper KUPP. I'm all in on that pick. I'm all in on that pick too. My must start. I'm going Carson Wentz for the Eagles. Bang bang bird gang. That's what we say in this household. Carson Wentz at 1.3x. The Giants are allowing 326 yards passing over their last 4, 8 total TDs in that span to opposing quarterbacks. One of those games was against Carson Wentz, and he absolutely lit up the Giants in that game. He totaled 3 TDs, as you can see there, 1 on the ground, 373 total yards. I know everybody likes to get on Carson Wentz, even me. If you saw my Twitter, I think he is
It's easy
absolutely
to.
awful. He gives me agita. I don't know how Eagles fans can stand that. I have said this. I think he's the worst quarterback in the National Football League.
See that? Now that's going
But
way over the top.
his
but
career
go
against
ahead.
the Giants, 285 total yards per game, 12 touchdowns, a rating of 91.5. He doesn't make it look pretty, but he gets it done. He gets it done. He's got Miles Sanders back again this week, hopefully
That's good.
back with a hamstring or back after a hamstring injury that kept him out a week. I think Carson Wentz in for a big week, and I might have him in my stack later too.
Yeah, I think Carson is, as you said, he is a very frustrating player to watch.
Yes.
I mean, the thing that stands out the most is he just never throws the ball away.
Yep.
Like he will have to
He's good for a turnover a game.
He'll have to get like murdered on the field to actually give up the ball. Like he holds it on for way too long. But regardless of that, he still puts up pretty good numbers. And
does.
as you said, with the numbers against
Dual
the
threat
Giants,
too. He is their goal line back. He's their goal line back.
That's another thing is he's irrationally fearless. Like he runs in like he's like a running back in there.
And they're
that's
getting
partially
healthier.
why he gets hurt.
They're getting healthier. They have Dallas Goedert. Travis Fulgham has been a revelation for that team.
Yep.
He has been amazing. They've got some pieces there, and they're playing the Giants, so I'm going to lock that in. All right, Kyle, who are you fading this week? Last week it was Amari Cooper. Who is it this week?
Yeah, so this week I am going with the guy who's probably been the best quarterback in the NFL so far this year, and that's Russell Wilson.
Whoa!
Yeah, whoa, hot takes there.
That's flaming hot Cheetos.
Flaming hot stuff takes right there.
No free ads, but
yeah, right. So we got the last 3 games for Russell Wilson. He struggled a bit. With the turnovers. He's had 5 interceptions, 2 lost fumbles, with only 9 touchdowns in these last few games. So it hasn't been very good. And the Rams defense has been really good against opposing quarterbacks.
Yep.
Second least fantasy points allowed to opposing quarterbacks. Only 9 passing touchdowns allowed in the 8 games this year. So yeah, I just think his multiplier has went back to 1.1. So there is a little bit of juice there, but the way he's going right now, I don't really like what I'm seeing there. And the Rams have seen him a lot of times, obviously division opponents, so they know Russell Wilson. The Seattle offensive line is still not very good, so Aaron Donald should be able to wreak havoc on Russell Wilson. Jalen Ramsey has had a fantastic bounce back season for the Rams, so you could put him on DK, Metcalf, or Lockett, which will make things more difficult. So I think, he's still going to put up his points. He's Russell Wilson, but I think with the way he's
not going to have that takedown type of
week. Right. And with the way he's trending these last few games in the matchup, I just don't think there are going to be many winning lineups with him as your quarterback. So
I agree. So we're clear, you still think he's going to put up points, but with that 1.1, what is he really going to be able to do for you? Yeah,
he's going to put up his yards. Like that's what he does. That's what he's been doing this year. So he's going to put up those yards, but he's not going to give you enough where he's going to give you that boost that you need to cash in your lineup. So,
all right. So because I was going to say, I saw the stat right before we came on, total points in Seahawks games this season, starting with week 1, 63, 65, 69, 54, 53 by week, 71, 64, 78. He's going to put up points because they're going to score and they're going to let up a lot of points. But what Kyle's saying is 1.1. 1.1, guys. What's he going to be able to do for you?
Yeah, I mean, I've said all I need to say. Who's your fate?
Also, just real quick, Bert wants to know who has the better week, T. Higgins or Jerry Jeudy. Bert, you're going to have to Venmo both me and Kyle to get individualized questions. That's something I'm making a rule up now. You Venmo both of us, and then we'll talk. My fade, it's very similar. I'm going Alvin Kamara. 1X, arguably, with Dalvin Cook, has been one of the best running backs in the league.
Yeah.
Dual threat guy, catching passes, handling carries. I'm staying away. A lot of people think the 49ers, with all their injuries, they've been terrible. And for the most part, they haven't been the 49ers that we remember. But against running backs this year, even with all the injuries, they're allowing just over a total of 100 yards from opposing backfields this season, only 5 TDs from opposing running backs all year long, both on the ground and through the air. Michael Thomas is back. We saw it last week, too, when Alvin Kamara only had 49 total yards on 14 touches. Yes, he did score. But with Michael Thomas back, you want to get him going again. You have an embarrassment of riches. Jared Cook. I know he's not Alvin Kamara, but he's there.
He's still good, though.
He's still good. Emmanuel Sanders, he scored a touchdown. Traquan Smith, even someone like Taysom Hill, Sean Payton likes to give him the ball more than Drew Brees at times. So at 1X, I don't think there's going to be value there with what the 49ers have done and with all of these weapons that the Saints have. Another thing, we saw what they did against the Buccaneers, right? This week, classic letdown scenario. Classic letdown scenario.
I like it.
I would even go against the Saints, allegedly, if you're betting this. If you're a betting man, classic letdown scenario for the Saints.
Yeah, I think that's very true with the Michael Thomas piece of it. Like, they're just going to rely more on, it's just sheer volume of, targets. I mean, Kamara gets a lot of his, points and yards in the receiving game. So, Thomas being back is going to make, they're going to make it. And it's obvious that they're going to have to rely.
There's more mouths to feed too.
Exactly.
You're going to want to get him back involved in the offense. And Alvin Kamara, well, he's going to put up some points, and he doesn't need a lot of touches to do so. 1X.
Right, exactly. And Fred Warner is one of the best linebackers in the league. Like, he helps out that really good 49ers defense. So I for the most part agree with that. So I think especially at 1X, like, that's just it makes it easier when he's at that multiplier value. So
all right, long shot, Kyle. Who we got? You hit on yours last week a little bit. Who was it? I believe. I know we didn't put in there. But they did. No, you were going to use Marvin Jones before the Matt Stafford stuff. That would have hit. And then you used Dobbins.
Dobbins wasn't much of a factor last week. But for this week, I'm going with Duke Johnson, who is going to be facing his former team, the Cleveland Browns. And, you're typically the Manalytics guy on this show. And I'm going to go a little Manalytics here on you with this is a little revenge game.
You have to grow a beard to use Manalytics. I just wrote that down.
Okay. If I grew a beard, I don't think anyone would want to watch this show anymore because it would scare everybody away. So
I don't know.
I'm not
you should see Bert's beard. It's not that great, but keep going. Duke Johnson.
Yeah, it's going to be, it would be ugly for everyone to see. But yeah, Duke Johnson, it's going to be a revenge game for him. It was a bad, he demanded a trade for the Browns when, when they brought in, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and he wasn't happy about it. But now he gets his opportunity with David Johnson possibly being out again.
So can we talk about that for a second? Of all people, Duke Johnson has the gall to request a trade because his talents aren't going to be utilized correctly. Like, come on, who are you? You're Duke Johnson. Keep going.
Yeah, that's absurd. I should have caught on that immediately because dude, who the hell are you to be complaining about things like that? But he's going to be. I think he's going to be prominently featured here with David Johnson getting hurt last week, and he might be out again this week. So, and in the last game, he had 13.3 fantasy points, 41 yards, and a touchdown. So I think Duke Johnson is with at 1.85x that has very good value. And I think Duke Johnson's also shown that he can catch the ball out of the backfield as well. We haven't seen as much in Houston as we did in Cleveland, but he definitely has that capability. And I think we're going to see a lot of that on Sunday with when they go head-to-head with the Browns. So I think at 1.85x, he has a really good shot to bring a lot of value. So, yeah, I like him a lot this week.
All right, a question from YouTube. Aiden Tobin wants to know who's worth who's more worth picking up, John Brown or Cole Beasley? We'll get to that. Just let us know if that is PPR or not, and then we can make that question or answer that question very easily, in my opinion. My long shot this week is going to be LAZARD. He's supposed to be back. If not, there was a material change, and it doesn't go on my record. But LAZARD, in the 3 games before injury, he was averaging 85 yards per game, just over 4 catches on just under 6 targets, with almost 20 yards per catch and 2 touchdowns in that game. He was the clear number 2. Rodgers was loving him. Jacksonville has allowed a 100-yard receiver in 4 straight games, and they've been beaten by number 2 wide receivers all year long. They're averaging 4 receptions on 69 yards, 5 total touchdowns in those games. So they have been beat by the number 2 receiver in LAZARD at 1.85. If he just gets those numbers, we're talking about a 30-plus point game with 1.85. So that'll be good. Aiden says it's full PPR, then it's no question in my mind that's going to be Cole Beasley.
100%
That's
agreed.
100%. Doesn't really have the touchdown appeal as John Brown, the big play potential, but I mean, Cole Beasley, that's the safe play there. Now, we'll go through our stacks. We've got about 4 minutes left. Kyle, who we got in your stack this weekend?
So a little bit of a lower multiplier stack this week, but it's going to be one of the higher scoring games of the weekend. We have the Cardinals going up against the Bills. The Cardinals have had an electric offense this year, led by Kyler Murray, who is probably right now at this moment the best quarterback fantasy-wise on SuperDraft. And with his ability to run the ball, he had over 100 yards rushing last week against Miami.
Career high.
And I think, he's just reliable at this point with the weapons that he has in Cliff Kingsbury's offense. And he's going up against a Bills defense who is okay, not great. So I think he's going to be able to put up some numbers there. DeAndre Hopkins, same thing. He's been great this year with the Cardinals. And Stephon
a little
Diggs,
slow week for him last week too, so expect him to bounce back for sure.
Yeah, he has some. Whenever he's had, when you look at the game log, whenever he has one of those shaky games, he does bounce back.
Comes
there.
right back.
So Stephon Diggs as well, who's been consistently good all year with the Bills. So I think. I think with the amount of points being scored in this game, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of points being scored by Murray, Hopkins, and Diggs.
I agree. And Bert is saying that unfair treatment. We wouldn't give him advice for free, but we gave advice to the YouTube guy. Here's the thing, Bert. I'm not in a league with the YouTube guy, so I'm not giving you advice on anything, whether it pertains to our league or not. You are the commissioner. Don't go groveling for takes, okay? You man up, use some analytics, and make your decision. All right, my stack.
Conflict of interest right there.
Exactly. My stack, it's not as sexy, and I am going to change it up just a little bit. Carson Wentz, who is my must start. Travis Fulgham at 1.45x. We've talked about it. He's been tremendous for the Eagles. He's the number 1 option there. He's been a revelation for that team. And instead of Wayne Gallman, I'm going with Sterling Shepard at 1.5x. He's got over 9 targets in his past 3. He scored in 2 of those games. And the last game against the Eagles, 8 targets, 6 catches, 59 yards, and a touchdown. Sterling Shepard's healthy again. Daniel Jones is hooking up with him. And I love rooting for Duke guys. Daniel Jones is a Duke guy. I love the Giants. Got to say it. And these teams, they put up points, right? They put up points. They've allowed, I think, 20 points in over 90% of their games each. So there's going to be points there. It's going to be an ugly football game, but.
And I don't hate the Wayne Gallman pick either.
I don't either, but Devontae Freeman could be back this week. That's unclear right now. If he's not, I do like Wayne Gallman. He scored in 3 straight. I just want.
Yeah, I was about to say. Yep.
Get me straight. There. Get me
3
points.
Games. Yeah, 3 games straight with a touchdown. So, and at 1.7, I like that a lot. So, but yeah, if Freeman is back though, that makes it a little bit more shaky, and that's why Shepard is probably the better play in that stack.
I agree. All right, that's going to do it. NFL Week 10 and Masters Fantasy Gainz. Make sure to enter that Albatross, $50K guaranteed, $10K to first. Plenty of spots open in that. You got about 12 and a half hours to do so. And hopefully you get some green to go with that green jacket. if you know what I mean.